There's a feeling subtle, yet persistent. It lingers in the quiet moments, in the spaces between thoughts, in the pauses of everyday life. A whisper just beyond reach, something pressing against the edges of awareness. At first, it seems like nothing. A fleeting déjà vu, a sudden shift in the air, a sense that something is about to happen, but nothing does. Days pass, routine unfolds, and yet, beneath it all, there's a strange sensation, a quiet knowing. It's not loud, not forceful, just there. Late at night, beneath dim lights, questions arise. A voice inside asks, "Is this all there is?" But the thought is brushed away, drowned in the noise of responsibilities and distractions. The world is full of reasons to ignore it. Work, schedules, conversations, everything moves fast enough to keep it at bay. But it doesn't go away. It lingers in the moments of stillness, in the hush before sleep, in the first breath of morning, in the way certain songs stir something deep within. It hides in the way strangers seem familiar, in the pull toward places never visited, in the way the wind carries whispers that sound almost like words. Something is calling, soft, insistent, and sooner or later it will demand to be heard. Sleep comes, but it is not just rest. It is a doorway. A familiar place appears. The streets of childhood, an old house long forgotten, a face that should be a stranger but feels like home. The details are vivid, more real than waking life. The colors too sharp, the sounds too clear. Every step, every glance carries meaning, though the mind struggles to grasp it. A voice speaks, but the words slip away the moment the eyes open. A symbol lingers, a key, a name, a flicker of something just beyond reach. Then, reality returns. The hum of the morning, the weight of the day ahead. The dream fades like mist, but the feeling stays. And then it happens again. Night after night, pieces of something larger begin to take shape. A message buried in symbols, in places that do not exist, in people who have never been met. Faces appear, whispering truths that slip through waking fingers. Hands reach out, guiding toward something unseen. Patterns emerge. The same road, the same door, the same quiet sense of urgency. These are not ordinary dreams. They carry a weight that lingers long after waking. A call wrapped in mystery, waiting to be understood. A conversation unfolds, casual at first. Words flow effortlessly, but then something shifts. The person across the table says something, and it feels oddly familiar. A thought, an idea, an emotion that had been stirring within, now spoken aloud by someone else. It's as if they reached into the mind and pulled out something unspoken. Days later, it happens again. A stranger echoes an inner struggle. A friend unknowingly gives the exact advice needed. The same message appears in a book, in a passing comment, in the lyrics of a song playing in the background. This is not coincidence. The world is reflecting back what already exists inside. Every interaction, every exchange holds a subtle lesson, a mirror revealing parts of the self that had been overlooked. Frustration with another exposes personal wounds. Admiration for someone highlights an unrecognized potential. The emotions stirred by others are not random. They are signals. Patterns emerge. The same types of people, the same conversations, the same lessons, cycling through different faces and voices. Each encounter is a reflection, a quiet nudge toward awareness. The universe is speaking, showing what needs to be seen. The question is, will it be recognized? A choice presents itself, two paths, two possibilities. One is logical, practical, the kind of decision that makes sense on paper. The other feels different. There is no reason for it, no concrete evidence to justify it, yet something deep within stirs. A pull, a whisper, a quiet certainty that refuses to be ignored. The mind argues. Logic demands facts, reasons, guarantees. But intuition offers none. Just a feeling, subtle yet undeniable. A hesitation at the doorstep. A sudden urge to turn left instead of right. A tension in the chest when a name is mentioned. A lightness when another is spoken. And then confirmation. The road not taken holds unexpected delays. The opportunity turned down unravels into chaos. The stranger who seemed oddly familiar becomes a key part of the journey. The decision made on a whim, on a feeling, proves to be the right one. It was never random. This voice has always been there. Soft, persistent, unshaken by doubt. A guide, a compass, leading toward what the eyes cannot see but the soul already knows. The question is not whether intuition speaks. It always does. The question is, will it be trusted? A fleeting thought about an old friend, long out of reach. Hours later, a message arrives. Unexpected, perfectly timed. A stranger strikes up a conversation, speaking the exact words needed to be heard. A mentor appears, offering guidance before the question is even voiced. It happens too often to be dismissed as chance. Paths cross with eerie precision, aligning like pieces of a puzzle unseen until now. Someone enters just as a door seems to be closing. A missed train leads to an encounter that shifts everything. Advice given in passing carries an answer that had been sought for weeks. These are not accidents. People are placed with intention, woven into the journey with a purpose that may not be clear at first. Some stay, shaping the path ahead. Others are brief but significant, like a signpost along the road. Each meeting holds a lesson, a push in the right direction, a reminder that something greater is at work. The right people, the right moments, always when they are needed most. Whether they are recognized or not, that is up to the one who receives them. A familiar voice fades. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly now feel strained, forced. A space grows between connections that once seemed unshakable. There is no fight, no clear reason, just a quiet drifting, like tides pulling in opposite directions. At first, there's resistance, the instinct to hold on, to grasp at what once was. Nostalgia whispers that things can return to how they used to be. But something deeper knows the truth. The path has shifted, and not everyone is meant to walk its new course. Some departures come with closure. Others slip away without warning, dissolving into silence. A friend, a mentor, a partner. People who once fit so perfectly now feel like echoes of a past self. It isn't rejection. It isn't loss. It's evolution. Growth demands space. As one chapter ends, another begins, and not everyone is meant to turn the page with it. Letting go isn't forgetting. It isn't erasing what was. It's accepting that some connections were only meant to last for a season. And in their absence, new ones will come, aligned with the person being shaped by the journey ahead. A wave rises, sudden and overwhelming. No warning, no clear reason, just an intensity that demands to be felt. Emotions surge like a tide too strong to resist. Restlessness, sadness, an unshakable longing for something unnamed. Then, just as quickly, a burst of clarity, a rush of joy, a feeling of being on the edge of something vast and unseen. It makes no sense. Nothing external has changed, yet inside, everything is shifting. Tears come without explanation. Old wounds resurface, not to wound again, but to be acknowledged, to be understood. Fragments of past choices, buried regrets, forgotten dreams. Everything rises at once. The heart beats louder than the mind. There is no logic here, only truth. This is not chaos. This is a message. The higher self does not speak in words. It speaks in weight pressing on the chest, in a deep ache that refuses to be ignored, in a fire that burns through the old to make way for the new. It shakes loose what no longer serves, forcing a reckoning with what has been left unresolved. Fighting it only deepens the storm, but surrendering to it, to the lessons, to the release, brings something greater. Stillness after the chaos, light after the breaking, a self no longer burdened, but transformed. The noise fades, not the sounds of the world, but the constant hum of distractions, the endless pull of conversations that no longer feel necessary. There's a growing desire to step away, to retreat from the familiar, to exist in stillness for a while. The solitude isn't loneliness. It's a calling, a need to sit with thoughts that have been waiting, with emotions left unattended. Time slows in this space. The air feels different, heavier with meaning, lighter with clarity. The mind resists at first, searching for something to fill the quiet. But the deeper the silence, the clearer the voice within. Here, the self is stripped bare. There is no performance, no expectation, no need to be anything other than what is. The distractions were never real protection, only barriers between the present moment and the truths hidden beneath it. Answers begin to emerge, not through effort, but through presence. There is no searching, only seeing. No chasing, only receiving. The world still exists outside, unchanged, but something within has shifted. And once this silence is embraced, it no longer feels empty, feels like home. There is a moment when the mind quiets, not by force, but by surrender. The weight of thoughts, the constant cycle of worries and questions, begins to loosen. Breath deepens. The present unfolds, vast and untouched. The call to stillness has always been there, waiting beneath the noise. A gentle pull towards something ancient, something innate. The body knows it, the soul craves it. Yet for so long it was ignored, lost in the rush of tasks, in the illusion that movement equals progress. But now the body sits, the breath slows, the eyes close, and the space within opens. At first, it's subtle, just a presence, a vastness that cannot be named. The mind resists, trying to fill the silence, trying to grasp something familiar. But the deeper the surrender, the more the barriers fall away. Thoughts rise and pass like waves, no longer clinging, no longer defining. There is no past, no future, only now. And in that now, something shifts. Clarity, stillness, a connection to something greater, something that has always been there. The higher self does not need to be found. It was never lost. It was only waiting to be heard. Something is different, not in the world outside, but within. A shift, not sudden, not dramatic, but undeniable. The weight once carried so heavily is lighter. The questions that once screamed now whisper. The search that felt endless no longer feels like searching at all. It wasn't about finding something new. It was about remembering. The signs were always there. The dreams, the intuition, the people who arrived and those who left. The emotions that surged, the silence that revealed, the pull towards stillness. Each step was not a detour, but a path leading here, to this moment, to this knowing. There is no need to force, no need to chase. The higher self was never separate, never distant. It was woven into every thought, every breath, every moment of deep, unshakable presence. The world still moves. The sun rises. The seasons change. Life continues. But nothing feels the same. Not because the world has changed, but because the way it is seen has. Awareness is no longer a fleeting glimpse. It is a way of being.